stop the recording from here. Before going to the today's session, for 2 questions, the session is actually for 4 questions only. Yesterday, the last time we asked for 2 questions, the short answers I have. First thing is difference between logical and physical name in the SQL Server data file. The logical file name is a database unique identifier actually. I mean, there is not much importance to that, but when you are using a TSQL, when you are using it in TSQL, you cannot mention the full table name, full data file name there. I mean, you need to mention the logical name, and in TSQL you cannot mention the physical file name. And even SQL Server reads with the logical file name, and then from that it will point to the physical file name. Everything in SQL Server reads through logical name only, and not the physical name location. Physical name location is for only from the operating system wise, but internally it reads through logical name only. So the logical name created to convenience of the SQL Server. The logical file name is created is there for the one particular physical data file in the database. That is a logical file name actually. And there should be one, it should be unique name in the logical file name. There are some limitations. You cannot use special characters to it until only underscore is allowed there. You cannot use special characters to the logical file name. And another question they asked, Sandeep, no, Murali asked actually. The Murali asked why we need a shared folder for file streams. Actually, when you create a share, you need to use only one share for the file stream. That is MS SQL Server file share. When you create a share, use that share name only. The operating system APIs they read the files which are all there in the file stream. They used to connect. I mean, they used to interact using that share name only. They used to interact with the whatever file streams you created in the operating system. Satish asked one question. The logical name unique for DBs or DBs database. And this is the API which is to interact with the file streams. This API required a share in the OS level to interact with the file streams. That Open SQL file stream, that is the API which used in case of file streams. And the other 2 questions mainly on actually their question is table scan, and then asked the. And other question was, let me see, table scan. Someone asked about the table scan, how table scan happened. For that purpose, to let you know, guys, for the table scan, I have to let you know all in, and then extent management also someone asked. For that, I need to tell you all extent structure, page structure, and then object how they stores inside the database. And I will be using lot of new names apart from the Oracle here. Probably you may need to go through once and twice to understand this. I mean, the new naming conventions. And please let me know if you are not understanding any naming convention. Even after after this class also, please let me know if you have any difficulty in understanding the naming convention. Mainly, we will see in this class understanding pages and extents, and managing extent allocation free space, managing space used by the objects, tracking the modified extents. These are all things going to use, these 4 things going to use some bitmaps or allocation units to manage. So each and every layer of the logical layer using some bitmaps to manage the structure actually. Suppose, is it viewable, guys, or you want me to make it bigger one? Suppose if you take a logical structure, I am saying object wise, object will be using extents will be using page. These pages are using the PFS. I'll tell you what is the PFS in later part. And PFS mechanism to store the it's a bitmap. It's having bitmaps in it. and to store the data in it, and then extents will be using GAM and SGAM, and then objects will be using BCM and DCM. These are the different kinds of allocation units, or I would say mapping, which is required in order to identify or store the data in different layers of the SQL Server. We'll see from the pages now. And we'll be talking about only these 4 topics, guys, today. It'll be, I thought of giving you a long session today, and I'm really sorry that, I'm unable to give a long session today. I'll be talking about only these 4 things today. Okay. And first we'll go to page. This is the typical page structure actually. This is a page structure which we have in SQL Server. As in Oracle, we'll be having header to it. It's 8K. As I told you, page is 8 KB size, and it will be having header of 96 bytes. This header contains page number, page type, and allocation unit ID. I'll tell you what is allocation unit ID. And then it will be having some row offsets, and then free space, and then data will be there. So you have record A, record B, and record B, and record C. Offset will be stored here for these records, whatever all in the page. And what is offset means? Offset will be having starting of the page, how far it the first row is from the beginning actually. This length of the record will be stored in the offset, and it will be using page free space PFS bits. This page will be using PFS bits to track how much percentage, or it is a free page, or how much percentage the data stored in a particular page. If it is a 1 to 50%, or 51 to 80, or 81 to 95, or 9600, whatever percentage of data stored in this page will be recorded by the PFS bits. And where this PFS bit stores? This PFS bit will be storing in first data file. I'll show you here. This whatever structure I have shown will be there in the first data file, which is a primary data file of a database. For each and every database, the first page will be file header, and then PFS, and third page will be having GAM, file header, and file header will be there, and from first page PFS, second GAM allocation. For the extents purpose it is there. And then BCM, this is for tracking down the BCM is for the tracking down the records after the backup, like how RMAN is doing. RMAN is doing, it will be tracking the records whatever modified, right? The same way BCM will be doing it, and DCM will be. Any questions, guys? Someone put on Ajay?
Please. Now I joined actually. So when it has started?
It's 5 minutes ago, Ajay. Today we'll be having a short session only, and we'll be talking about the pages and extents architecture.
Okay, because it's just 3 minutes. Like it seems like we started a bit early today. Yeah.
No, 8 p.m. IST. Actually, we started around. We almost waited 20 minutes, Ajay.
Okay. My mistake, Okay, thank you. Actually, I thought it's UK time 4 o'clock, so it was my mistake. Yeah. It's okay. Thank you.
Anyway, we'll be having record. No issues. It's today's short session only.
Yeah.
I'm discussing about the these things, page and extents architecture actually. Extents architecture. On the day you asked, right? You only asked the extents architecture.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this. Yeah. Okay, I will go through the video, Pawan. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And PFS will be managing the pages in inside the how much space utilized in the page will be tracking by the PFS pages, and these PFS pages and all the allocation unit or tracking pages will be there in first data file of a database, and first page will be having PFS, and second one will be storing GAM and SGM, and third and fourth and fifth will be storing BCM and DCM. BCM will be storing the whether the data pages are modified after a backup or not, and DCM will be a special kind of one. DCM will be storing the data modification, and BCM will be storing the bulk logged mode in the SQL Server. Apart from the simple and then full recovery model, right? Simple means there is no RK logging. Full means RK logging will be there, RK log mode as Oracle. In full recovery model and simple recovery mode. Apart from that, we have a bulk logged mode. Bulk logged recovery model also there. In case of managing the bulk logged mode records, we have BCM management. We will be seeing it in the last slide about the BCM. And page free space PFS pages records the, as I told earlier, data about the page. And these are different kind of pages available in our SQL Server. Data, index, test, miss, text, almost 14 types of pages are available in our SQL Server. And IAM will be used to manage the objects. Objects structure we used to manage by using the IAM. And GAM, SGM for the extents. PFS for the pages. PFS in the last layer, SGM and GAM in the second layer, and on top of object layer, IAM we have. When it comes to the extents, as I told you earlier, data stores extent will be 8 contiguous pages, and data stores using the global allocation mapping or SGAM, where this GAM and SGM information stored first data file of a database, as I told you earlier. And allocation of extents recorded with the page free space PFS. And as I told, PFS records, it's a wrong convention actually. PFS records the pages information. I'm sorry for this. And there are two types of extents actually. GAM and SGM are for the managing the extents. Any questions, guys? There is no confusion, right? Please let me know if you have any confusion. We have a page. For pages, we have PFS for managing the pages. And for managing the extents, we have GAM, Global Allocation Mapping, and SGAM. And for managing the objects, we have IMAP, Index Allocation Mapping. No confusion here, I hope. So now I'm talking about the PFS. I told, it will be page will be having a header and offset and also free space, and then the records what are stored in the page. And header will be having the header information with the page type, whatever is the index page or data page, the information will be there in the header. And what GAM and SGAM? SGAM and GAM allocation is for the extents. And these extents are two types again. extents are two types. One is mixed and other one is uniform. What is mixed extents? Whenever you create whenever you create an object, or first that the table extents will be first stored in mixed extents as mixed extents. I'll show you in this one. Whenever an object is storing, first it will go to mixed extent only, which means whenever a data file you created, the first extent will be a mixed extent. What is a mixed extent mean? Mixed extent can store 8 different types of objects in it. Why 8 only? Because 8 pages are there. It can store 8 different types of objects, because it's not having the single object information. It can have 8 different objects information. That is the reason why we are calling it as mixed extent. Every object, any object that you create in a SQL Server, it should first go to the mixed extent only, which will be there in the data file first, mixed extent. After that, if you want to insert data, whatever data is crossing beyond this page will be going to the uniform extent, which means SQL Server will allocate separate extent for that particular object. It will be a uniform extent. When it will allocate a separate object, after reaching full page, in this page, it will go to the uniform object, uniform extent, and it will be allocated to only that particular object. Now you got the difference between mixed and extent, right? Mixed will be first any object stores in the mixed extent, and then it will go to uniform. You can see here, mixed extent, table 2 is there, index 1, index 2, table 2, table 3, index 3, and like that. Next, I want to insert the data in next table, then it will be going to the uniform extent. All data will be stored in the one particular extent, uniform extent. Whenever it reaches the threshold here, it will go to that object, will allocate it to the uniform extent. That is the difference between mixed and uniform. So how SQL Server tracks these mixed and uniform extents? As I told earlier, we have GAM bit setting and SGAM. These are bitmaps. It will be these GAM, it is allocation units, GAM and SGAM, global allocation mapping, and then shared global allocation mapping. These two are having bitmaps actually. As I told earlier, if you assume that this red color one is a data file, the first bit will be for PFS, page level bit mapping. Information about the pages will be there in the first page. And then second page will be having information about the global allocation mapping, and third page will be having the shared global allocation mapping. When this global allocation mapping will be used and when this shared global allocation mapping will be used for the extent, we will see. And maximum this GAM page, global allocation map page, can store information of 4 GB extents, that is 64,000 extents only, which means if my data file reaches 7 GB, if you assume, it has to have 2 GAM pages. Why? Because this is having capacity of sharing bitmaps of only 6400 extents. What are these bitmaps? These are the bit settings actually. If a GAM bit setting is 1, suppose my extent stored here, this extent information will be written in first extent of a data file. What it will be storing? 1 or 0. If it is a 1 in GAM bit, What does it mean that extent is free and not being used? Suppose if you take SGAM bit mapping of a SGAM page, if the bitmap of this particular extent is 1, which means this extent is a mixed extent with some free pages. If the setting is 0, it is a uniform extent or full mixed extent, which means that it is a mixed extent which is having full records. This is confusing part here. This is really confusing part, guys, because you have to go through it once. No other way. It will take some time to understand actually. The reason why I did not go through it and previously, you may get confused with all these settings because you need to understand page level bit mapping and then in extent level and then object level. Even MSDN having a lot of information about this. If you go through the MSDN or TechNet of Microsoft, if you give the allocation unit of allocations, extent level allocation, page level extent, if you search, you will get all this information. So this GAM and SGAM will be used for the extent allocation mapping. We'll see some information about this GAM and SGAM. And as I told earlier, this global allocation map pages records, where it records? GAM records in second page of every first data file, primary data file of a database. And it will be, that page will be having bitmaps. If that GAM bit is 1, the corresponding extent, each and every extent in this GAM page, for each and every extent, 1 bit will be allocated. That bit is 1, it is free. And if it is in SGAM it is a 1, which means it is a mixed extent. Like that, SQL Server will understand allocation of extents in SQL Server. Any questions, guys? Please let me know if you have any questions. Are you able to catch me, or it's not understanding? You are not understanding. Please respond, guys. Are you able to follow me, or?
Yes, Pawan. Actually, I can understand. Just one bit, like the GAM bit, when it is 0, it can be either uniform or mixed. But in case of
no, full with mixed.
Full mixed.
It is already full mixed. The page is already full.
Yeah, uniform or full mixed extent. Yeah, because there is no free space available. Yeah.
Yes.
And in case of SGAM, when it is 0, it is saying mixed. Yeah.
Yeah, 0 means it is related to the mixed means. It is related to mixed. Only in case of uniform, this SGAM will come into the picture. Sorry, GAM will come into the picture. Only in case of uniform records, extents, this GAM allocation will come into the picture. I mean, as a layman, I'm saying, for SGAM will come into the picture in case of mixed.
Mixed one, yeah.
This allocation. And we can go very deeply into the subject. It will take, so much time. And it's very difficult to understand in first attempt. And if you go through reading it if you ask questions, it will be helpful for me to again read further and then explain you guys.
No, actually,
please.
You have done a very hard work. You will not find all these things. Like very few will teach all these things. The internal architecture level. So I would like to say a big thanks to you for all these things.
Yeah, no problem. But my request to you guys is, please, go through internet or somewhere and get more information and ask me questions. It will help me and you to understand more, go deeper into the subject. And I'm really blessed to have students like you guys, because you are having a lot of experience. And I took so many classes in the SQL Server. Nobody asked me these questions. Internal, whenever I taught them internal structure, they just listen and just that's it. But nobody asked me these many questions. I'm really happy with that. I am able to go through all these things.
Yeah. Thanks, Pawan. One more thing, Pawan. Like in the first extent, we have the first will be the header information. The second PFS.
No. Yeah. This extent is having header information, but first page in the extent will be having information about the pages.
Yeah. So
which means PFS allocation will be there, and the PFS will again having the bitmaps.
Yeah.
Of a pages. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the first extent we have like the 8 pages. So I want to know what 8 pages we are going to use. So first the PFS. Then like the the PG, GAM, then SGAM, then index allocation map, then BCD, IS. So here where the 2 is missing here, that's why I asked you. So where are the 2 pages we are going to use for? What?
No, I read up to this one actually. I found out this information, but I'll definitely find out and I'll let you know. I'll note down this question. Please put me in notepad actually in chat this question.
Okay.
I'll not forget.
Yeah, we'll do, Pawan. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And this is how extents will be stored using the GAM and GAM and SGAM. Using GAM and SGAM, extent will be stored in the SQL Server. And then object level. Object level will be using index allocation mapping. Index allocation mapping will be using. This index allocation mapping will support up to 4 GB only. Support in the sense only one index allocation mapping. Only one index allocation mapping will support only 4 GB. After that, it will create again another index allocation mapping. Okay. There are 3 types of index allocation mapping in SQL Server. Don't confuse with the naming convention. It's not related to the indexes. Okay? It is allocated to all objects, related to all objects. Though naming convention is saying index, don't get confused with the index. Okay? Index allocation IAM is having 3 types of allocation units. In-row data, lob data, row overflow data. In-row data allocation unit stores heap or index. Don't get confused with the heap. What heap means, in Oracle, if you have a table without an index, we call it as a table only. But in SQL Server, if a table doesn't have an index, any index at all, we call it heap. Table without the index is called heap in SQL Server. Okay? So this in-row data will comes into the picture, this allocation mapping will comes into the picture at the time of heap or index. And lob data. Okay, Ajay is asking question. We got info for the first 6 pages. Okay, that's first question. Yeah, fine. Sure, Ajay. I'll try to I'll definitely get that information. I'll check for that. Yeah. This lob data holds the lob object types and XML and where binary data types information will be there. These type of objects will be stored using lob data IAM. This is in-row data IAM, this is lob data IAM, and row overflow data. This row overflow data will comes into the picture whenever it will be a huge size objects, like Ajay or Sadish was asking how these movie files and this big documents will be storing. Using the row overflow data index allocation mapping, SQL Server stores those big objects. So how it stores? For 4 GB, suppose table 1, 2, suppose some extents are there. In the 8 pages is one extent. These are our pages. Extent 1, extent 2, extent 3, and extent 4. Here is a one extent. And let me make it bigger. If my IAM is using, suppose 3 extents, or some extents which are crossed 4 GB. If my IAM is using some extents crossed 4 GB, my object is using one IAM, but one IAM is up to 4 GB only. This is having some extents again in it. All these extents are only size of 4 GB. In that case, what SQL Server will do, it will assign again another chunk. We call it as IAM2. Suppose it will take IAM2. It will be having some again extents. Then what we say, the object is stored in 2 IAMs. Like how it is storing in segments in SQL Server, sorry, in Oracle. The same way, if it is crossing 4 GB, another chunk will be there, will be allotted, another IAM will be allotted for this object. For this object, another chunk will be, another IAM will be allotted for this, and it will be storing data in it. It will be having information of both IAMs. This object will be having. This is how object stores using the IAMs. Any doubts guys on these IAMs? Please put doubts. I'll go through. If I can able to answer, I'll answer. Otherwise, I'll go through it and I'll try to answer it. And an IAM can shade across objects also. If you see here, my table 1 is using IAM1, and sorry, you cannot share, I think. My IAM2 is in the table. You cannot share across. Sorry for that. You cannot share the IAM across the objects. Those are same like segments only. You can have one IAM to the only one particular table. Any confusion guys here? Please let me know if you have any confusion or understanding this one. I'm just repeating it again. Objects will be spread across using the one second. Using IAMs. IAMs will be using extents. Extents will be using pages. Any doubts, guys? So this IAM information will be, as I told earlier, so IAM information will be stored in bitmaps only. I'm not sure, I did not go through it, IAM information, where IAM information will be stored. I'll go through it and I'll let you know. I'm putting this question also here. And apart from that, for tracking the modified extents, SQL Server uses two different kinds of data structures. Actually, these are called data structures: differential change map and bulk change map. Differential change map will be having the information, again, bitmaps. It will be stored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth page of every first extent of a data file will be stored, and this DCM is having again bitmaps 0 or 1. 1 says that extent, if the bit of an extent is 1, the extent has been modified since the last backup statement. If it is 0, it is not modified. Using those bitmaps, SQL Server identifies in case of differential backup, like same like in our Oracle, level 0, level 1, using this differential change map, DCM, SQL Server identifies changed blocks and takes the backup. And what is this bulk change mapping, BCM? As I told earlier, in SQL Server, we have three kind of bulk, simple and full and bulk recovery models. We all know thoroughly about simple and full, same as RK logging and no RK logging. But what is this bulk logged? First question for anyone comes into the mind is, can a bulk logged mode, if my database is in bulk logged mode, can I do a point in time recovery? Is it really stores information of information?
I think
this kind of question. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think no. Actually, you asked, can we do the point in time recovery? It looks like no.
It is possible to do point in time recovery if the database is in bulk logged mode, but there is an exception here. Very, very, very important exception. You should not take the backup of transaction log, which is as equal as there is no RK log generation in Oracle. There is no RK log generation. RK log generation after keeping in bulk log. After keeping a bulk log mode, if there is no RK log generation, then only you can do point in time recovery. Technically speaking, which means there is no bulk log transaction after this, and you cannot recover that even. The reason why, suppose, let me tell you, let me explain it in a paintbrush. Actually, I'm trying to learn how to draw these diagrams. If you're having any difficulty in understanding my these drawing objects, please let me know. I'm trying to improve this. I'll keep on trying.
Pavan, your learning rate is very good, You are improving very fast, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Satish is asking, should not truncate transaction log. Yeah, that is good, correct, Satish. I would say, if my transaction log is there, and this transaction log I kept in my database in bulk logged mode, suppose. Bulk logged mode, this transaction log, TRN. Suppose if I kept this transaction log at 10 a.m. in bulk, in database in 10 a.m. I kept this database 10 a.m. in bulk logged mode. After this, after keeping this database in bulk logged mode, then what will happen? Our BCM will wake up. Now it thinks that I have a work to do. The BCM will wake up and it start keeping the records, zeros and ones in it, whatever transactions happen. Suppose my database at 10 a.m. is having a, and please do remember to keep, whenever you are keeping the database in bulk logged mode, first thing you need to keep in mind is disable TRN backups. The reason why, I'll tell you the reason why. You disabled, suppose you disabled it and you kept it in bulk logged mode, 10 a.m. Database is in bulk logged mode. I'm doing huge index creation, or I'm doing a huge insert, or any bad job. My client is pumping up and it is doing some huge operation. Keeping the bulk logged mode doesn't mean it's not recording anything. Transaction log will keep on growing. Transaction log growth will be high, but not as same as our full recovery model. It will be writing minimal data than the full recovery model. Only records whatever happened during the bulk logged mode, only it will be recording it. Where it will be recording? It will be recording in BCM page. Bitmaps will be recording there, and if something happens to your database at 11 a.m. suppose, it is still in bulk logged mode. Since you inserted data into it, you cannot recover up to point in time. It is possible to, technically speaking, it is a point in time will be happen up to this only, 10 a.m. only. Or else, is there any bulk logged operation happened? You can do it. Even at the time of recovery, frankly saying, at the time of recovery, the recovery will not consider extents which are in bulk logged mode. That information recovery, you cannot read the information of bulk log internally. So, practically speaking, Ajay is correct. You cannot do up to that point in time recovery. So, please make sure that if you are keeping your database in bulk logged mode, you need to have a very good backup of your database before doing that bulk logged mode. After that bulk logged mode, you need to keep it in full recovery model and take the full backup again. You got it? You should have a backup of before and after. Before and after, you should have a full backup. Again.
So here the question is, so we are updating details in the BCM. So why we are doing this? Why we are not following the normal approach for the extent allocation and the deallocation? Just a question, curious to know why one new pages has been introduced for the bulk log, because I understand the purpose, when we are doing the heavy data load, then we are using the bulk log that will generate the less redo. But actually, so why we are using the different extent? I mean the page.
No, we are not using any different extent. Extents will be same, Ajay.
Yeah, BCM page we are using, right?
Yes.
So
But the reason why we are using BCM page bit mapping,
yeah.
we cannot, we want to store it separately because that all information we cannot recover. Whatever records are happening,
Yeah.
things are happening in the database, we cannot recover the things. For that, we are separately, instead of maintaining the consistency,
Yeah.
we are maintaining a separate bitmap allocation for that.
Okay, so maybe like the performance point of view also, maybe just like in Oracle, when we are doing the insert with append, it's writing on the blank like block, right?
Yeah. In the same way, not only for the performance purpose, Ajay,
Yeah.
even for the recovery purpose also,
Yeah.
to making the consistent, backup also,
Yeah.
you need to separate this bit mapping and this allocation
Yeah.
apart from the normal allocation.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Vimog. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So in Oracle, we have three types of modes, bulk log. Bulk log mode only uses in exceptional cases. Whenever you have huge number of records to insert or huge operations you are doing, go for bulk log. Keep in mind you should have a full backup of the database when you are doing a bulk log mode. So I would say it's a dangerous thing. Make sure that you have good backup before doing bulk log mode. But I do see so many, often I do keep my, I have around 300, 400 clients which are in SQL Server. All those, 300, 400 databases, out of that even at least 50 clients are using bulk log modes in their databases. This is frequent one. Don't think that it's not some exception or something like that, but it's a frequency of bulk log also very high.
Okay, so they are using all the time, Vimal? Like?
No, not all the time. Maybe weekly once.
Okay, when they are doing some heavy data load and all.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, okay.
Like they used to do, they keep it in the. So bulk log mode will be traced using the BCM, and general change will be traced by using the DCM allocation bit maps, data structures. Sorry. So I'll go through again once. Maybe everyone in bit confusion here.